But if you like blanked out somewhere, like you ended up in the Manhattan, somehow middle of the Megillah, so you realize, oh well, I'm here, it's Crown Heights. So, but you were listening, you came to hear, that was your intention. So, but of course, you should be following from inside. That's the proper way to do it. I think that was the last thing we spoke about. And could we also start about kavana? We spoke about intention, that you have to have intention to do the mitzvah, and the one who mates you has to have intention. Be mates you. We discussed that too. Be in someone's house and you hear someone's reading Megillah. Oh, someone's going to read Megillah in someone's house. Okay, where's everybody's in the dining room, and you're in a room because you're babysitting, taking care of someone in a bedroom, and you can hear the kid is going to read very loud. You'll be able to hear every word, but kid doesn't know that you're there. He's asked to come to lane for a group of women, and he's sitting there. He's waiting for all the women here. Doesn't know there's a woman in the bedroom there listening to the Megillah. Doesn't have in your mind. You're not Yetzer. You have to tell the person. He has to have kavanah. He doesn't have to have a list of all the people. He just has to have a general kavanah. He must be Yetzer anyone who wants to be Yetzer. During the brachas, okay, do you have to stand during Megillah reading? No, you don't have to stand. When do you have to stand? During the brachas. Whenever you say a bracha on a mitzvah, you have to do it standing. So, just like when you say a bracha, you have to do it standing. When you're listening to bracha, mute themselves. Why are they? Someone's doing, but they should at least mute themselves.
I think they are. Yeah.
Thank you. So just like when you say a bracha on a mitzvah, you have to do it standing. So too, when you're listening to the bracha, being Yetzer the bracha, you also have to do it standing. So during the brachas of the Megillah, you have to be standing. And then during the reading of the Megillah, you could sit down. You don't have to stand the whole time. There's 3 brachas. First bracha is al Mikra Megillah. Al Mikra Megillah. You'll hear the bracha Shekin Nishanim, Mitzvah. It's the beginning of the same. Al Mikra Megillah. Then there's the bracha Sha'asa Nisim. Then the bracha Shechianu. Shechianu, that you always say, in Yom Tov. And if someone is reading for women, we spoke about this. Which bracha is there change over here? Let's say a man comes to lane for women, and it's only women, and the man was already Yetzer the Megillah. He's just reading for women, so he doesn't need to say any brachas. Why should he say the brachas if one of the women could say the brachas? If they don't know how to say the brachas, different story. But usually, one of the women knows how to say the brachas, so he doesn't say the brachas. The women say the brachas. Now, one or everyone. Well, you could have one woman say for everyone. Theoretically, everyone could theoretically say the bracha, but it's the ideal thing is that one says for everyone. Just like in Shul, one says for everyone. So too, there's a whole group of women here. Now let's see reading the Megillah for all of you. I already heard Megillah. Okay, so one of the women stand up and will say the bracha for everyone. So all the women stand up. One, yeah, because they're hearing the bracha. And they're being Yetzer, this woman is being Yetzer everyone. It's only women here, so it's no problem. One woman is saying the bracha for everyone. Everyone answers Amen. And everyone sits down. But there's another change over here. Instead of saying the bracha al mikra, the first bracha, which is for the reading of the Megillah, which is al mikra Megillah, the bracha is going to be lishmaya Megillah, to hear Megillah. So usually the first bracha on the Megillah reading is al mikra Megillah, which means for mikra. What is mikra? The reading of the Megillah. The mitzvah to read the Megillah. And if you hear the Megillah, it's like reading it yourself. So, and anyone has to read, you can hear the Megillah. For women, when it's only women, the bracha is l'shmoya, to hear Megillah, because there was never an obligation incumbent upon women to read the Megillah. For the women, it was always to hear Megillah. So the bracha that they are saying, if it's a woman saying the bracha, then the bracha is l'shmoya Megillah, to hear Megillah. not al lishmoya. Hashem says tzivonu lishmoya Megillah, to hear Megillah. Now, back to the general, which is regardless if it's women saying the bracha or the man saying it now in general. When the bracha is being said during the day, there has to be kavanah with the bracha shechianu for all the mitzvahs of Purim. Now, every time you do a mitzvah for the first time, you say the bracha shechianu. Every time. The first time we bench Lulav Esrog, the first time Shofar, first time you bench Chanukah Licht, is the bracha Shechianu. So the same thing over here. The first time we are doing the mitzvah of reading the Megillah, we say the bracha Shechianu. But actually, we don't just say it the first time. We just don't say it at night. We say it also during the day, even though it's the second time. So it's actually a machlokes, an argument if you say it during the day also. Our minig is, I'm actually not sure what other people do. I think other people do not say it during the day. But this machlokes at Shulchan Aruch, minig Chabad is that we say it during the day also, because the main mitzvah is during the day. Mitzvah of the day is. And we discussed about a child who just became bar mitzvah. He cannot read Megillah for men or women who are over bar mitzvah during the day, but at night he could. So the day is considered more important than the night. So it's not like repeating the mitzvah. So like when we bench Lulav Esrog, so the first time we say Shechianu, the second time we don't. We only see it the first time. Chanukah candles, the first time, not the second time. Megillah, it's different because the second time is during the day. It's in a different category. It's not the same level. It's not like doing it again. The day Megillah is considered very important, more important than the night. So it's like the first time you're doing Megillah during the day. At night, it's the first time you're doing it at night. So it's like in two separate level categories. So we say Shechianu during the day also. And when you say Shechianu during the day, or that is those who are listening to Shechianu, right? It's the same thing. The one who's listening, whoever's listening, it's like you're saying it. So when you say Shechianu / when you listen to Shechianu during the day, you have to have kavanah for all the mitzvahs of Purim. There's many mitzvahs that we do on Purim. There is a one-time mitzvah, comes once a year, just like the first time we do a little bit esrog, so we say Shechianu. Yom Tov comes in, we say Shechianu. So here now you're going to be doing the mitzvah of what on Purim? Besides Megillah, Megillah, Shechianu, we say by the Megillah. That's automatic. But then we do Shalach Manas, Matanas Lavyanim, gives to the poor. Sudas Purim, the feast of Purim. These are mitzvahs that come once a year. So mitzvahs come once a year, and you say Shechianu. So if you say Shechianu during the day, you have intention also for all the special mitzvahs of Purim. And if you didn't have intention, then what do? You say a separate Shechianu for Shalach Manos. When you give Shalach Manos, you say Shechianu. You don't. Obviously, because I'm sure you know from experience, you know such a thing, saying Shalach Manos is Shechianu. But it comes once a year. Why should you say Shechianu? The explanation is because even though these mitzvahs come once a year, but it's really questionable to say Shechianu on it. Because is it really a new mitzvah? Shalach Manos, obviously so. Matanas L'Yanim, Staka. Sudas Purim, Suda, you have a Suda, Yom Tov, you have a Suda, Shabbos. It's not like a brand new mitzvah. It's not like a Lulav Esrog, Chanukah lighting, Shofar. It's not like that. So it's really questionable if you say Shechianu just in that itself. That's why we say Shechianu for the Megillah. You may have intention for all the other mitzvahs. There is a discussion. We're not going to go into it. What's if someone is not? It doesn't have. Is not hearing Megillah at all at night and day. No Megillah at all, and there's no Shechianu at all. Do you say Shechianu? There's a discussion about it. Now, let's discuss specifically Shalach Manis and Matanis Levayim. So, in the pasuk, how many Shalach Manis do we give? So, how many people do we give Shalach Manis to? So how many people do you give Shalach Manis? You have to give Shalach Manis in the midst of Shalach Manis. And so how many people you have to give Matanis Levayim? Let's say four. Able to see this? Yeah. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Here it says, the end of the it says Mishlech, if it says manis, what's manis? Portions. Monois, plural. Mono is portion, monois is portions. The word mon in Aramaic language, the Gemara can also mean 100 zuz, it's an amount of money. But in Lashon Kodesh, mono means a portion, monois portions, ish, a man with a to his friend. The man means, it says ish, we know also applies to women. Umatonis and gifts, live yonim to the poor. So ish is singular, ish, man, is man. Matonois, gifts, lo ev yonim. Ev yonim means poor, ev yonim is plural. So, but manis is plural, manis is portions. So it has to be two portions, two foods to one person, and gifts to two people. So to do the mitzvah of Shalach Manis, you have to send to one person two types of food. It's preferable when you send the Shalach Manis, you send it through a shliach, not yourself. You don't come yourself and deliver it, you give it to someone to deliver it to that person. You can even deliver it, but then you have someone there that just takes it from your hand and says, I'll give this to this person. The reason is because there's an opinion, it's an opinion, doesn't mean if you don't do it, you didn't do the mitzvah, but that's the better way to do it, to send to someone else. Because it says, u'mishlech, and to send, right? You're sending with someone else, you make someone a shliach. So there's an opinion that says it should be done with a shliach. If you don't have a shliach, it's fine. It's still doing the mitzvah. Two portions of food. Some people have in their, somehow they have it in their heads and they sometimes pick up things and not always explain properly. And they think there has to be two different brachas. In a way, it's correct because two different foods are usually two different brachas. But it's not about two different brachas, it's about being two different foods. Usually it ends up being two different brachas when it's two different foods. But if you send, let's say, a piece of cake, and then you send a cookie, it's two foods. Luckily, that's two foods. Some want to make sure that should be a drink also in there because, personally, the Rebbe used to give a food and a drink, give both food and drink. The Rebbe gave, I believe, to his brother-in-law, that I shot. And I don't know. I think they used to send a coin, waving Yisrael. That's a minimum to Rabbeim. That's not for us. That's what they did. Nothing to do with us. But they weren't careful about it. Should be a food and a drink. So a lot of people are careful about this to make sure there's a drink. And I guess the reason is because Shalach Manis is connected to Sudas Purim. It has a relationship with Sudas Purim, making sure people have a Suda. That's where it comes from. And in a Suda, in a meal, you eat and you drink. So you don't have to give a drink, but I think it's a good thing. At least one Shalach Manis should have a drink also. But you're not obligated to be a drink. The main thing is it should be two types of foods and make sure it's enough for each food. Meaning each food has to have a certain amount. We're going to give a little piece of chocolate, and then you're going to give a tiny little cookie. Each one has to be large enough. Now, usually it is large enough. Who gives a tiny cookie and a tiny chocolate? So why do we have to discuss this for? And the reason is because I've seen over the years that sometimes people, they send a very nice shalach manas, and still it becomes a little questionable if they really, or maybe not even questionable, maybe for sure, that they didn't do the mitzvah. Why is that? They're sending such a beautiful shalach manas. Well, what they do is sometimes they have like a very nice cake, nice big cake, homemade, or they bought a really nice cake, and then they put something on top. They put a chocolate coin, a nice chocolate coin top, and it looks really beautiful. Nice cake, with nice chocolate coin, like the Hanukkah coins. How big are those chocolate coins? It's barely the amount of it's less than, usually it's less than the amount of a kazayis. It's still viewed as a nice shalchmanis, a nice big cake. You have to have two items. So one item is huge, one item is tiny. Or sometimes they take those thin mashka bottles, they're like 2 ounces in there, very nice, cost a few dollars, and they stick on top of the nice cake. It's a nice shalchmanis. The cake is nice and big, and the mashka bottle is very thin, and it doesn't have a revius. It's at least minimum 3 ounces. Those mashka bottles are very thin ones, they're usually less than 3 ounces. I mean, I'm almost sure it's less than 3 ounces, as far as I remember. Now, when you send shachmanis, you don't send to a man. It's man to man and woman to woman. There's a reason for it, not because of the typical reason that's sneeze, it's more than that. There's an explanation, Shulchan that we're not going to go into why. There's a concern about something we're not going into it. But it's supposed to be man to man and woman to woman. Unless he's sending to a family, sent to the family, it's not specific to the man, then it's okay. Now, when you go and say, you might be aware of this, that you show some of you are maybe over the past and will in the future, going in the time, and then what kind of time do you do? I mean, you're not going to read Megillah for people, but you're going to be doing Shalchmanis. So Shalchmanis you could exchange. You give people Shalchmanis, they exchange with each other, and they're all doing the mitzvah. Maltanis Levyanim. Gifts to the poor. Okay, gifts to the poor also, they can also exchange. When you're giving money to poor people, you tell a poor person, give your friend gives you, even though exchanging, doing the mitzvah, they're giving to each other. How much is Matanas Levyanim? Gifts to the poor. How much do you have to give? Anybody?
1 drink.
No, gifts to the poor. It's all about.
You like enough to like buy like a bagel or something like
No.
that, like
Yeah.
But it's Matanas Levyanim, gifts to the poor. How much does that have to be worth? You're giving money. Why do you say a drink? Are you talking about Shalchmanis?
Yeah, but the poor, you know, to give them
For the poor, you can give them, it could be food also.
Oh,
It could be food. You could do Matanas Levyanim with food also. I mean, I think it should be food they're going to appreciate. If they don't appreciate the food, I mean, technically it's still doing the mitzvah because it has value, they could sell it. But yeah, Matanas Levyanim is either food or money. Usually it's money. But how much money do you have to give to do the mitzvah? That's the question. You said a bagel, amount of a suda?
No.
Okay, so there are different opinions. Some opinions say about 10 cents, maybe 5 cents. It's like a fruit, a very small amount. They give a dime, huh? Yeah, even you give a dime, 2 dimes to 2 poor people. According to Halachi, that's the mitzvah. And according to that, as they say, the letter of the law, that's it. But now those that say you should give them enough for a suda, enough money to buy bread for the suda. And in those days, the amount of bread they ate for suda was the size of 3 eggs, which is approximately 5 ounces, let's say. So 5 ounces of bread. How much does 5 ounces of bread cost these days? Anyone knows? I have no idea. What is it, about $1? About $1 maybe, 5 ounces of bread. So according to one opinion, that's what it is. I think it's about $1, let's say. 50 cents a dollar. And then there's another opinion there's always before Purim, the song advertises Kavod Eretz Yisrael, people there, which is very nice. And he uses the stricter opinion, which is good to encourage people to give, and that's great. But it's an opinion. It's not that that's but the opinion that says what it take, whatever costs to have a suda. A meal means not just bread, a piece of fish, some meat, it costs can be like $10. So some say that's the amount, but that's not the halacha. Of course, if someone can afford, they should do it that way. I mean, it's very important to emphasize that many times the mitzvah of gifts to the poor falls to the side, not intentionally, but just by default, because look, according to Allah, you can do the mitzvah is just giving a dime to two poor people, right? Okay, so doing the mitzvah, that's a problem. All right. Now, what happens in Shalach Manas? Shalach Manas, what do we have all this the people to send them? How to do the mitzvah Shalach Manas, what do you need to do? A cookie and an apple, that's it. No, Shalach Manas, you have to give a nice Shalach Manas. You have to give it to 100 people, and you have to give it to Matanos Levyanim, you need 2 dimes. There's an imbalance over there, right? Also, it says clearly the emphasis should be Matanos Levyanim, gifts to the poor. That there's no greater joy before Hashem than rejoicing the hearts of poor people. So the emphasis should be gifts to the poor, Matanos Levyanim, not Shalach Manas. Now, it's important to emphasize, just not to lose context of what's happening over here. And it also says that there is something special about increasing with the mitzvah Shalach Manas too. Like any other mitzvah, it says Shalach Manas, it's a nice thing to increase in Shalach Manas too. Yeah, in other words, if you talk about Shalach Manas in itself, Shalach Manas itself says it shouldn't just be the minimum, but it's good to increase to send to more people. Yeah, okay. Matanos Levyanim, it also says to increase, but Matanos Levyanim, it says it's even more special than Shalach Manas. So yes, there is something about Shalach Manas. We're not saying Shalach Manas should be the bare minimum, but whenever you're doing Shalach Manas, Matanos Levyanim is even more important. So it's very important to keep that in context, though. Maybe at this point in your life, it's like you're making money, you have money to spend, but it's something important to know for the future, because sometimes people just, not because they don't care about giving stuff, but you lose focus. It's like, okay, Matanos Levyanim, you gave to Shalach Manas because when it's ready, there's a relationship involved. You have people, you have a relationship, and you feel you have to give them. You have to give this person and that person, that person. And who says you have to give everyone? And just on a practical level, so for the future, you decide whatever you want in life, as it's Hashem. But just keep in mind, once you start giving a person who's on the list, you can't take them off. And not necessarily.
And then I get
Yeah,
that person.
right. And if you never give the person, so you never give the person, people,
It's embarrassing for them.
right, if you stop. So, and people, and just because you don't give a person, doesn't mean you don't care about them. You're busy, you're this, that, there's no one, this person, that person.
I give them a lot.
You can't give the whole world. Yeah, so I'm not telling you, trying to make you decide, okay, but I'm just giving you, some insight on how to go about things. Another important thing with Matanos Levyanim is, and that is, it's sort of like an attachment to Matanos Levyanim, which is that it says on Purim, whoever's called HaPoishet Yat, it's a very classical, sorry, I got to leave my phone downstairs. I usually take it out, I put it on the chair there. There's a classical term called HaPoishet Yad Noisnim Moed. Whoever HaPoishet means Poishet, stretches out Yad his hand. Aramaic term Poishet, the stretching out. Noisnim given. Whoever stretches out his hand on Purim, you give him money, give him stuff. What are we saying? Whoever stretches out, whoever. No, whoever's asking, and you don't even know this person, you don't even know if he needs money or not. Should I give him? What do you give everything? But Matanos Levyanim is still Matanos Levyanim. What do I mean it's still Matanos Levyanim? What I mean is, you want to make sure that Matanas of Yedim given to two poor people / two organizations. Doesn't mean a person, organizations that help people. Same thing. Now, besides that, making sure to give to two organizations that you know need the money is a separate thing. That if people are asking, you don't know if they need or not, give them something. But the amount of money, you have to use your common sense. You're not going to give a guy in the street. So I'm saying in general terms, saying people have money, like according to what a person can afford. So let's say a person who's well off, okay? He's not rich, but whatever. So let's give you an example to understand. So let's say you're coming organizations are coming and shows, these organizations need money, so you give them $1, $2, yeah, whatever, and then you go into the street by 770, tons of people come who you never saw before, you never see after. You don't even know who they are, you don't even know if they're Jewish, you don't know anything. But they're coming in, so you start giving dollars to everyone. Doesn't make any sense. Because unless someone is like a millionaire or something. I'm saying if let's say you're larger, you're giving to the organizations that are legit in the community. These organizations collecting to the community, and you want to give a proper amount. So you give, let's say, $1 or $2. You're not going to give the same amount to a person in the street here. You don't know who he is. Doesn't make any sense. This is an organization. This is a private person. His expenses are much less. That's even if he needs the money. And you don't even know who this guy is. It doesn't make sense. So him, let's say, give a dime a quarter. I'm not telling you exactly to micromanage how much you give. I'm giving an example. You should understand in context that you give the large amounts to organizations that you know need. You give more than two people, we say increase. And then the union of giving everyone, because people are asking, so you give something. Yeah.
But those organizations that have really, getting specific results, they help around people who are, really in need.
Correct.
So that's why we put things in an organization that
Correct.
people can set it up.
Right. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that sometimes there's people, what I'm saying is that Purim, especially Purim, people know that people give. You just give. So people come to Crown Heights. You can see from the 770, tons of people, like swarms of people. We have no idea who these people are. They need, they don't need, they're just an event. You don't know. But it says you should give everyone. Someone comes over to go, you should give. So what do you do? Start giving dollars to people. If you're a billionaire, so you don't care, the money has no value. But if the organizations that needs money, you're giving $1 or $2, let's say, they can give people on the street the same amount. Doesn't make any sense. In other words, the larger amount has to go to proper places. That's what I'm saying. I'm not telling you how much to give. Saying, but for whoever, it doesn't matter. According to whatever you can afford, whatever you're giving, it's the same idea. The large amount of what is called large to you, you should give to proper organizations. And people on the street, you don't know who they are, you give something. Because it says, never ask for charity for money. I'm putting, we give them something. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yes. Give to one person and he eats it. I think this is something like over the years, like the family, you're busy with the kids, you realize, well, this is just by default. In the early years, I was running around with the kids, the kids were little, walk here, schlep there, give them money, and they're busy with the friends. And then towards the end of the day, it's like, one second, did we do Matanas Levianim yet? Oh, let's run. It's like a whole day, the kids are busy with Shachmanis. And then you have to chaperai, it's a Yiddish word, chaperai means like you have to stick it in somewhere, Matanas Levianim, somewhere in the middle. After years, I started realizing what's going on of it. It's like, the whole day busy with Shachmanis, and what's Matanas Levianim? It's like, it's a very important thing to realize that Matanas Levianim, it says clearly Matanas Levianim is much more important than any other mitzvah of the day. is greater, I mean, I shouldn't say it's more, no, I'm sorry, let me correct myself, I got carried away. Matanas Levianim, I shouldn't say is greater than Megillah and Sudas Purim. It's great, it's greater than Shalach Manas, it says. In other words, you have to do all the mitzvahs. But in terms of Shalach Manas and Matanas Levianim, because Shalach Manas, it's both about giving people. So Matanas Levianim, it said, is greater than Shalach Manas. Yeah. Yes.
Before, it has to be like on the day for himself. You can't get the organization.
Oh, okay, very good. Now, glad you brought that up. According to Halacha, most opinions hold that if you send the money before Purim to a poor person, to organization. Now, we'll give it to a poor person, let's say on Purim. According to most opinions, you have done the mitzvah. You didn't give it on Purim, you gave it before Purim. Gave it to organization before Purim. The organization is going to make sure the money comes to a poor person on Purim. According to Halacha, it's 100% okay. It's accepted. Nevertheless, it's brought in Svarim. It comes from Darizal. I think it's from Darizal. No, maybe Darizal is something else, but doing it right after the Megillah reading. Something else. But it's brought somewhere. I don't recall where it is. It's brought somewhere that the ideal thing is that the mitzvah should be done on the day. So even though you're fulfilling your obligation, and the organizations, there's an organization that advertises every year from Rabbi Lukowski from Eretz Yisrael. He advertises, he collects for poor families in Eretz Yisrael. He says, give before Purim, it gets there on Purim, and that's how you fulfill the mitzvah. It's true. Most opinion holds that you do the mitzvah, but still, there is significance in giving it on the day of Purim. It's not a contradiction. I mean, I'm not telling you to give an atka. I know what you can afford. Let's say you're able to give, so for sure you should give before and it gets done Purim. But in addition to that, you should also give on Purim also, because there's significance in doing the mitzvah on Purim itself.
Also, you're supposed to Shulman's law should go in your line, like you have to give where it's like it's 4% or out. I don't know if also but if you're showing for thing you can't. I mean that's the shocking if you can't get to someone who's not playing for them.
Okay, it could be. I'm not familiar with those halachas because I'm not an answer so. But you're raising interesting. What she's saying is that when it follows what's happening. So yeah, this year it's different. Purim's on Shabbos, but let's say Purim is let's say Purim is Monday and Tuesday. Like has Purim cannot be certain days. Purim cannot be whatever. Certain days Purim can't fall on. So let's say Purim is Monday and Tuesday. I'm not even sure Purim could be Monday. Maybe it could. Okay, let's say Purim is Monday. So Purim Monday and Tuesday. Purim is Monday. Tuesday is Shushan Purim. In Yerushalayim, Purim is on Shushan Purim. That's their day. So what he's saying is that if you're giving Shachmanis on Purim Monday, don't give it. If you give it to a Jew who lives in Yerushalayim, he happens to be where you are, for him it's not Purim, you don't do the mitzvah. Yeah? It could be. I'm not familiar with that. Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. That you're giving it to a Jew, for him it's not Purim. Because you're giving, I think that's what he's saying. I have to look it up. It could be such a thing that has to.
I was wondering, yeah, I got mixed up in shock when I was thinking of this before. If we're giving money to the organization that's giving to student nurses wrong.
Oh, you're saying, but that's the people in the Shalayim. I hear what you're saying, but it could be it's only issue of giving to poor people in the Shalayim. I don't know. I have to look it up. He's giving out to poor people in Eretz Yisrael, not necessarily the Shalayim. It's giving, but you're saying could be if you're giving to poor people in Eretz Yisrael, in the Shalayim, and they're giving it for them. It's not Purim, so maybe you're not used to gifts to the poor if it's going to poor people in Yerushalayim. It could be. I hear it. I don't know. I have to look it up. Could be. Yeah, any other questions about Matanas Levianim, Shalach Manos? Yeah, so Shalach Manos, we said it's man to man, woman to woman, not vice versa. Matanas Levyanim is either way, men to women, women to men. That's giving stuff in. Another halacha about husband and wife. Again, is Hashem. It's going to be relevant. So, could your husband, Mitzvah Hashem, give shachmanis for you? What do you for you? He's giving to well, whoever he's giving to. He has in mind that you're also part of it. There is an opinion that says he could be Maitziyum. There's such an opinion. Well, the Chatchila, you want to do it yourself. Which is usually the case anyways, because these days people anyway send a lot. The Lach is brought down. Back in the day, everything was very limited. They didn't have anything. So they send, the husband's going to shalach manas. Now, what about the wife? It's going to extra expense. It's like a big thing then, because they didn't have money. So they say, according to Allah, the husband can have her in mind included in the shalach manas, and she's also yaitsim. Then Matanas Levyanim gives to the poor. Sometimes the wife can't get out of the house. It could happen sometimes. You know, how should Matanas Levyanim? You just had a baby the day before Purim, and you're home. You're not going outside. Well, so firstly, these days we have stucco pushkas. It's also something. But the husband could have you in mind. The husband could give extra. So the husband is giving $1 to the organization. You give $1. Have in mind giving another $1 for his wife too. That's what I do many times. I did it for many years because in case my wife is busy with the kids, she doesn't get out, whatever, and then she ends up doing it herself also. But I would do that like this. I'm late to her also. Okay, we will continue tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.
People were honestly, and two people pay equally for it, can you do it together?
Good question. Probably